Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back. Tonight we're talking about the new moon in Pisces on March 18th, what makes it so unusual, and what I think you genuinely need to know about it. This new moon lands at 28 degrees of Pisces. That's 1 degree away from the final degree of the entire zodiac, and in astrology, we call that an anoretic degree. It carries a sense of urgency, of completion, of something pressing to be finished before the page turns. And the page is very much turning, because this new moon arrives just 37 hours before the spring equinox and the start of the astrological new year. But here's what I haven't seen many people talking about. At the moment of this new moon, there are 5 celestial bodies in Pisces. At the same time, the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Mars, and the North Node of Destiny. That is a stellium. And it is saturating this entire week with Pisces energy in a way that most of us have never experienced quite like this. And Mercury, which is still retrograde, is sitting in an exact conjunction with the North Node. That changes everything about how this new moon works, and I want to make sure you understand why. So let me lay out what's actually happening in the sky, because when you see the full picture, a lot of things are going to start making sense. The new moon itself is exact at 9:23 p.m. Eastern on March 18th. Sun and Moon meeting at 28 degrees and 26 minutes of Pisces. Now, I mentioned the anoretic degree, and I want to stay with that for a moment, because it really is the key to understanding the quality of this lunation. Most new moons in Pisces happen somewhere in the middle of the sign at 10 degrees, 15 degrees. This one is happening at the edge, 1 degree away from the end of Pisces, which means 1 degree away from the end of the entire zodiac wheel. This is the cosmic equivalent of standing in a doorway. Pisces is the last sign, Aries is the first, and for these few days, you're right on the threshold, able to look back at everything that was and forward into everything that's about to begin. When a new moon falls at an anoretic degree, whatever has been unfinished presses forward. Whatever you've been avoiding making a decision about asks for resolution. Not aggressively, this is Pisces, after all, but persistently, quietly, in your dreams, in the feelings you can't quite shake. And there's something else about this degree that I want you to notice. Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces, is sitting at 1 degree of Aries, just 3 degrees away from this new moon. That's close enough to form an out-of-sign conjunction, and it creates an energetic bridge between Pisces and Aries, between the old and the new. You can think of it as the threshold itself having a presence. You're not just standing in the doorway. The doorway is alive with energy, pulling you gently forward. And this brings me to the piece that I think is being widely overlooked right now, which is what Mercury is doing. Everyone knows Mercury is retrograde. You've probably been experiencing the usual disruptions, miscommunications, technology glitches, delays. But what most channels aren't telling you is that Mercury retrograde is sitting in an exact conjunction with the North Node of Destiny at 8 degrees of Pisces. This isn't ordinary Mercury retrograde behavior. When Mercury meets the North Node, it becomes something more like a karmic messenger. Information that you need to receive is trying to reach you, but it's not arriving in the usual ways. It's coming through dreams, through synchronicities that are too specific to dismiss, through a song you haven't heard in 30 years playing at exactly the right moment, through a person from your past reaching out with something they need to say. If you've been experiencing any of this, vivid dreams, old memories surfacing out of nowhere, people reappearing in your life, this is the astrological reason. And it's worth paying attention to, because what Mercury is carrying from the North Node is not random. It's directional. It's pointing you somewhere. I also want you to notice something about the timing here. Venus made this exact same conjunction with the North Node at 8 degrees Pisces back on February 17th. So whatever stirred in your heart around that time, a shift in a relationship, a creative longing, a change in what you value, Mercury is now bringing the next chapter of that message. The story that started in mid-February is still unfolding. And then there's Mars, also in Pisces, also conjunct the North Node during this entire window. Mars adds drive and urgency to the karmic current. This isn't passive receiving. Something in you is being called forward, and Mars is giving you the courage to follow it, even if you can't yet see where it leads. Now, I want to add one more layer of depth here before we go sign by sign, because I think this is what gives this new moon its real emotional weight. Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces, left this sign just a few months ago after approximately 14 years. Saturn left Pisces in February after 2.5 years. These are planets that have shaped our inner lives for a very long time, and this stellium 5 planets gathered in Pisces just after its two great tenants have moved out. This feels like a farewell gathering. The last great concentration of energy in a sign that has been our spiritual home for over a decade. For many of you watching, Neptune's transit through Pisces has been the backdrop to entire chapters of your life. Marriages, losses, awakenings, seasons of questioning everything you thought you knew. This new moon is honoring all of that before the door closes. If you've been feeling that something in your life is ending and you can't quite name what it is, I think this is why. And if you've been having unusually vivid dreams this month, or if someone from your past has reached out unexpectedly, I'd love to hear about it. Tell me in the comments what's been showing up for you, because with Mercury sitting on the North Node, these experiences are not random, they're part of the story. Now let me walk you through what this new moon means for your sign specifically, because depending on where Pisces falls in your chart, this energy is landing in a very different area of your life. I'm going to start with the 4 signs that are being affected most directly, and then I'll move through the rest. Every sign is included. Pisces, let me start with you, because this is your new moon in the most profound sense. 5 planets in your first house of identity and self. 5 planets plus the North Node in one sign doesn't happen at this degree. Often this is the most concentrated Pisces energy most of us will experience in a lifetime. The Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Mars, and the North Node are all in your sign at the same time. You are not just experiencing this new moon, you are its subject. And here's what I want you to understand about the timing. Saturn just left your sign after 2.5 years of pressure, restriction, and restructuring. Neptune just left after 14 years of spiritual deepening that was beautiful and disorienting in equal measure. That weight is lifting. And Jupiter, your traditional ruling planet, stationed direct in your 5th house of creativity and joy just 8 days ago, after being retrograde since November. If you felt like you've been in a chrysalis for the past 2 years, that is Saturn and Neptune doing their work in your sign. They've just left. The chrysalis is opening. You may not know who you're becoming yet. That's all right. Pisces doesn't demand that you name it before it's ready. Plant your intention on the 18th and let it take shape in its own time. Virgo, this new moon lands in your 7th house of partnerships and close relationships. And I know this month has been a lot for you. The total lunar eclipse on March 3rd was in your sign, and eclipses in your 1st house can shake your sense of self to the core. This new moon is the integration of that shaking. Seeds are being planted now in how you relate to your closest people, romantic partners, business partners, the person who walks beside you through daily life. With Mercury retrograde in this house, an old relationship may be revisiting, or a current one is being examined at a level you don't usually allow. Jupiter direct in your 11th house is expanding your social world and realigning your vision for the future. The ground that was shaken by the eclipse is settling now, Virgo. And what's being planted in that fresh soil has the potential to be more honest and more nourishing than what was there before. If the eclipse rattled you and you're still finding your footing, that is completely normal. Tell me in the comments what's been shifting for you. Gemini, this is your 10th house. Career, public life, reputation, legacy. And here's what makes this particularly significant for you. Mercury is your ruling planet. Your planetary ruler is retrograde, conjunct the north node of destiny, in the most visible part of your chart. This is karmic career territory. Old professional paths, roles, or callings may be resurfacing for reconsideration. A job you left, a skill you set aside, a direction you almost took years ago that's been quietly nagging at you. Pay special attention to any professional conversation, opportunity, or idea that returns from the past this week. Mercury conjunct the North Node in your 10th house is not subtle. It's pointing you towards something that matters for your path, even if it arrives disguised as a coincidence. With Saturn now restructuring your 11th house of networks and future ambitions, the question this new moon is asking you is a quiet but important one. Is this still what you want to be known for? Sagittarius, this new moon activates your 4th house, the most private, most emotional part of your chart. Home, family of origin, your emotional foundation, the ground everything else is built on. You're usually the one looking outward toward the next horizon, the next adventure. This new moon asks you to look inward. Family patterns may be becoming suddenly visible. A pull to change your living situation. A deep need for privacy and rest that feels unfamiliar to your nature. Jupiter, your ruling planet, is freshly direct in your 8th house of transformation and shared resources. What has been stuck at the emotional depths is starting to move again. Honor the inward pull, Sagittarius. What you tend to in private now becomes the foundation for your next expansion. If you're a Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, and this month has been one of the most emotionally intense you've experienced in a long time, you are not imagining it. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me your sign and what's been coming up. Your stories help other viewers feel less alone. Now let me move through the remaining signs, because this stellium touches everyone. Aries, this new moon falls in your 12th house, the house of the unconscious, of rest, of spiritual completion. And I want you to hear this clearly, because I know your instinct is to charge forward. Your season begins on March 20th. Saturn and Neptune have just entered your sign. A massive new chapter is opening for you. But this new moon says, not yet. Rest first. Release first. Whatever you set down in these last few days of Pisces season, you won't have to carry into your new beginning. Let it go now so your hands are free. Cancer. This is your 9th house of beliefs, wisdom, and expanded horizons. And you are in an extraordinary position right now. Jupiter is freshly direct in your sign. At 15 degrees, its exaltation degree. Jupiter has been retrograde in Cancer since mid-November. And if you felt stuck or stalled during that time, I want you to know that the blockage is lifting. Mars in Pisces is forming a trine to Jupiter in Cancer, a water trine, connecting your 9th house of vision to your 1st house of self. Your element is at full power right now. Trust what your intuition is telling you this week. It's speaking clearly, even if it's speaking quietly. Watch what comes in over the next 2 weeks, Cancer. Doors that felt sealed since November are beginning to open. Libra, this is your 6th house, daily routines, health, how you structure your days. Venus, your ruling planet, is in an exact square to Jupiter right now, at 15 degrees of Aries and 15 degrees of Cancer. You can feel that tension between what you desire and what your body and your schedule can actually sustain. It's a real pull between wanting more and needing to honor your limits. This new moon isn't asking you to do more, Libra. It's inviting a compassionate restructuring of what keeps you nourished and functional, what actually sustains you versus what just fills the hours. Capricorn, this lands in your 3rd house of communication, daily interactions, and how you process information. The stellium here is intensifying your mental world, and with Mercury retrograde involved, a conversation that's been stuck or misunderstood may be approaching clarity. Be patient with yourself and others for just a few more days. Pluto in Aquarius is already working through your second house of self-worth and values, transforming your relationship to what you own and what you're worth. This new moon plants seeds in how you communicate that transformation, how you begin to speak from a deeper sense of your own value. Jupiter, direct in your seventh house of partnerships, is bringing forward momentum to a relationship that matters. Let things settle before you push for resolution. Taurus, your 11th house is activated community, friendships, your vision for the future. And here's what's interesting for you specifically. Uranus in your sign is forming a sextile to this new moon. Sextiles are opportunity aspects, and with Uranus involved, the opportunity may arrive suddenly. An invitation. A conversation that opens a door you didn't know was there. A breakthrough in what you've been envisioning for the next chapter of your life. It may not come through effort, Taurus. It may come through an unexpected connection or a sudden knowing. Stay open this week. Leo, this is your 8th house. Shared resources, intimacy, transformation, the deep psychological work that most people avoid. I know this isn't comfortable territory for you. You prefer the light, but what you're willing to explore in the dark right now will transform what you bring back into the light. Something is being shed, a financial entanglement that needs revisiting, or a relationship deepening at the soul level. Let it go, Leo. What replaces it will be more real. Scorpio, your 5th house of creativity, joy, romance, and self-expression is being seeded by this new moon. Jupiter direct in your 9th house is expanding your worldview and your sense of what's possible. The question this new moon is quietly asking you is whether you'll give yourself permission to want what you want. Not what's practical, not what's expected, what genuinely brings you alive. You're so used to depth and intensity that sometimes you forget you're also allowed to play. This new moon gives you permission. And Aquarius, this new moon falls in your 2nd house of finances, self-worth, and values. With Pluto transforming your identity at the deepest level from your 1st house, this new moon in your 2nd asks you to reckon with something practical. Have you been undervaluing yourself? Not theoretically, but in real terms. In what you charge, in what you tolerate, in what you settle for. This is a quiet but powerful new moon for you, Aquarius. Plant an intention around what you're actually worth. No matter which sign you are, this new moon is touching something real in your life. Tell me your sign in the comments and the one thing you're ready to release before the astrological new year begins. I'll be reading. Now, let me give you something practical, because understanding what's happening is only half of it. The other half is what you do with this energy. There are 4 dates I want you to hold in your awareness over the coming days. March 18th is the new moon itself, exact at 9:23 p.m. Eastern. This is your intention-setting window. The hours around a new moon are ideal for getting quiet, writing down what you want to invite in, and consciously releasing what's complete. March 20th is a double event. Mercury stations direct after 3.5 weeks of retrograde, and the Sun enters Aries, beginning the astrological new year. The fog that's been hanging over your communication and clarity starts to lift on this day. March 21st, Mars in Pisces forms an exact trine to Jupiter in Cancer. This is a water trine that supports intuitive action, faith-based movement, trusting your gut. If something feels right on the 21st, follow it. And March 22nd is the Neptune Cazimi. The Sun meets Neptune at 1 degree of Aries, a moment of spiritual clarity at the very beginning of the new cycle. On the evening of March 18th, if you can, find 10 minutes of quiet. You don't need a ceremony. You don't need anything elaborate. Light a candle if that feels right. And write 2 things. First, what am I ready to release from this chapter that's ending? And second, what do I want to invite into the chapter that's beginning? That's all. 2 questions. Honest answers. Pisces doesn't need perfection. It needs sincerity. I'd also encourage you to keep something to write with near your bed this week. With Mercury conjunct the North Node, your dreams are carrying real information right now. You may not understand a dream in the morning, but write it down anyway. The meaning often reveals itself days later. And if you're someone who wants to go deeper with this energy, to really mark this transition intentionally, I've put together the New Beginnings Purification Ritual for exactly this kind of threshold moment. When an era is ending and a new one beginning, sometimes it helps to have something meaningful to walk you across that bridge. The link is in the description if you feel called. One more practical note. Saturn in early Aries is forming a sextile to Pluto in early Aquarius right now. These are both serious, no-nonsense planets, and their cooperation means that whatever structural changes you commit to during this window have real staying power. The transformation you're going through isn't just emotional, it's being supported at the level of your foundations. That's encouraging. The days between March 18th and March 22nd are a compressed portal of change. The new moon, Mercury going direct, the equinox, the Neptune Cazimi, all within 4 days. Be genuinely gentle with yourself during this window. Drink water. Sleep when you need to. Don't force clarity. Pisces doesn't want you to push through this. It wants you to feel through it. And what you allow yourself to feel is what you allow yourself to release. Now, before I let you go, I want to step back from the details and the dates and share something that I think is important about this moment. We've been in the waters of Pisces for a long time. Not just this month, for years. Neptune entered Pisces in 2012, and it's been shaping our inner lives, our spiritual questions, our relationship to mystery and meaning, for over a decade. Saturn joined it in Pisces in 2023, adding weight and structure to the spiritual work. And now both of them have moved on into Aries. They're starting something new. And this new moon, with 5 planets still gathered in Pisces one last time, feels like the closing ceremony. The farewell before the door closes. Many of you have lived entire chapters of your life under Neptune in Pisces. Real chapters. Marriages that began or ended. Children who grew up and left. Health challenges that changed the shape of your days. Moments when the ground opened beneath you and you had to learn to trust something you couldn't see. Moments of unexpected beauty that arrived precisely when you needed them most. All of that was held in Pisces energy. All of it was part of the transit. And this new moon is offering you a chance to look back at that whole journey, not with analysis, but with compassion, and to honor what it taught you. Even the parts that hurt, especially the parts that hurt. Because Pisces knows something that the rest of the zodiac sometimes forgets. It knows that the things that break us open are often the same things that allow more light in. Pisces doesn't show you the result. It asks you to plant something in the dark and trust that it's growing, even when you can't see a single shoot yet. And that is exactly what this new moon is asking of you. Whatever intention you set on March 18th, you will not see its fruit immediately. That's not a failure. That's how seeds work. The darkness isn't absence, it's where the roots form. Think of these last few days of Pisces season as a long, slow exhale. You've been holding your breath, maybe without even realizing it. And on March 20th, when Aries season begins and Mercury goes direct, you get to breathe in again. Fresh air, a new year, a clear direction. But right now, in the exhale, let yourself release whatever you've been carrying that is too heavy for the next chapter. A grief you've been holding, an old story about yourself that you've outgrown, a fear that served you once but doesn't serve you anymore. Your hands need to be free for what's coming next. And what's coming next is genuinely good. Jupiter is direct and building momentum. Mercury goes direct on the 20th. Aries season ignites. The energy is shifting. I can feel it, and I think you can feel it too. You have survived every ending that has ever come for you. every single one. And each time, without exception, something new began. This is no different, except this time you can see it coming. You can prepare for it. You can meet it with your eyes open and your heart willing. And that changes everything about how the next chapter begins. That's what I have for you tonight, beautiful souls. I hope this brought you some clarity and some peace about what March has been stirring up. Come back and tell me how March 18th lands for you. When the new moon passes, when Mercury goes direct, when you feel that first breath of Aries season, come back to this video and tell me what shifted. I will be here, and I genuinely want to know. If this kind of depth is what you've been looking for in your astrology content, I'm here every week. I would love to have you. Take care of yourselves this week. Be gentle. And remember, you are standing on a threshold right now. What's behind you shaped you beautifully. What's ahead of you is waiting for you. And this quiet, tender, in-between space you're in tonight is not emptiness. It's where the new beginning takes root. Until next time, sending you all my love.